You're listening to the weekly Parsha podcast recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramah Beit Shemesh, Israel, 5776, 2016. This week's Parsha outside of Eretz Yisrael in Chutz La'aretz is Parsha's Korach, and I'd like to share with you some questions from Reb Chaim Friedlander on a few different midrashim. I'd like to offer my own thought on the answer to these questions. Classically, we know that Korach, what was his gambit? What was he coming with? What was his rebellion about? So it's not so clear at first glance. There's a few different indications as to what the issue was. The first thing that we see is Vayikalu. This is in chapter 16, verse 3. Vayikalu al Moshe al Aaron. They gathered in front of Moses and Aaron. Vayomar aleim. They said, Rav lachem, you have enough. Ki kol haida kulam kedoshim. The entire congregation is holy. V'soichem Hashem, and God is in their midst. Madua tisnasu al kal Hashem. Why are you making yourselves greater? Why are you making yourselves above anyone else? Everyone is equal. We don't need a leader. We don't need anyone special. Hashem is inside of each of us. We can all just do what we're supposed to do properly. So it sounds like, what was the issue? Why were they rebelling? Because they felt like we don't need leadership. We don't need formal leadership. Each one of us has access to Hashem, and we don't need you to tell us how to access Hashem. So that's the first thing that happens. That's the first thing that's said. But how does Moshe Rabbeinu respond? And from his response, we can deduce what the issue of Korach was. He says like this. This is in verse 8. Vayomer Moshe al Korach. Moses says to Korach, Shimuna b'nei Levi, listen here, O sons of Levi. Hamad mikem kivdil akei Yisrael eschem yadas Yisrael. Is it not enough for you that God separated you from the rest of the congregation of Israel? Lakriv eschem elav, to bring you close to Him. Lavodes avodes hamishkan Hashem, to serve the service of the tabernacle of God. V'lamoid lefnei ha'eda l'sharsam, and to be there to serve the congregation. And listen to this verse carefully. Vayakrev oischa v'eskol achecha b'nei Levi itoch uvikashtem gam kahuna. He brought you, he's referring specifically here to Korach it seems, he's brought you close, and all of your brothers, the sons of Levi, close with you, and you also want to have kahuna, you also want, as the uncle says, you want to have the high priesthood. So we see, and as the story progresses, we see why are you having complaints against Aaron? What has he done to you? That's the next verse. But we see that the issue of Korach was that he was going for the kahuna gedola. He was going for the high priesthood. So even though he comes with this statement of equality and all Jews are equal, we don't need any leaders, Moshe Rabbeinu understood somehow that that Korach wants something very specific. He wants to be the leader. Now, there's a midrash, though, that makes it even more interesting as to what was his motivation, what was the issue. This is the midrash. It says like this: Uma ra Korach lachlik im Moshe. What did Korach see? Why did he decide to come into a machlekes, an argument with Moses? Niskane as nisiusay shal Elitzafan ben Uziel. He was jealous of the fact that there was an individual named Elitzafan, the son of Uziel, who had become the nasi. He became the prince. Sheminu Moshe nasi al bnei Kehos al pi hadibur. That Moses, based on Hashem's direction, had appointed this person to be the nasi, the main ruler, or the main prince, so to speak, over the children of Kehos, which was one of the families of the Levites. Amar Korach says, Achi arba hoyu. He says, look, let's figure things out. Korach said to himself, my father, so he had 3 brothers. There were 4 altogether. Shenemar, as the verse says, Uvenei Kehos, refers to the children of Kehos, and it mentions Amram, Yitzhar, Chevron, and Uziel. These 4 different individuals. Amram HaBechor natlu shnei banav gedula. Amram, who was the oldest of the 4, so his 2 sons, they ended up in high positions. Echad Melech, one is Moshe, he is the king, so to speak. Echad Kohen Gadol, Aaron is the high priest. Mi roi litol es hashniya. Who would it be appropriate that he should get the next honor, the next level of nesius, of princehood, so to speak? So he said, Loyani, it should be me. Shani ben Yitzhar. I'm from the second son. I'm from Yitzhar. Shu sheni la Amram. He's the second after Amram. Uman Nasias ben Achiv hakatan mikulan. Who did he appoint as the Nasi, as the prince? It was the son of the youngest, which is Uziel. Harini chelik alav mevatalas tvarev. I am going to get into an argument, and I'm going to get what I deserve. I'm going to nullify what Moses has said. Now, so we read this and we say, well, what was Korach's issue? What did he want? Did he want the position of Nasi, the prince? Did he want the position of Kohen Gadol, the high priest? Or did he care about the Jewish people as a whole? He wanted everyone to be equal. Very interesting. The Reb Chaim Friedlander brings the Ramban. The Ramban says, I want to read it inside. How did Korach get everyone to come and be part, or a large group to be part of his rebellion? So he seduced all of the tribes. That he's doing it for their honor. He wants to give back the avodah. It had been taken away. Really, the firstborns, they had the rights to serve in the Beis Hamikdash, in the temple, in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and it had been given over to the tribe of Levi. And he went around and said to them, look, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the B'chorim. Everyone has a right. Everyone should really, all of the Shvatim, all of the tribes should be able to be part of it, part of the service of Hashem. Kasher Omar, like he says, Ki kol ha'ida kulam kedoshim. So the Ramban understands that when he said the whole entire congregation is holy, he was saying, we want to give back those rights, the rights to serve Hashem, to be the messengers of the Jewish people, to the B'chairim. Moses, in his wisdom, was able to understand intuitively, or perhaps with Ruach HaKodesh, with divine inspiration, what was inside of Korach's heart. He revealed the truth. Ki hu al kunasei tzayeg. He is only interested in the high priesthood. And so Moshe said to him, it should be enough for you. You should be satisfied with the honor of your shevet, of your tribe. Rav lachem b'nei Levi. He said to him, it's enough what you have, O sons of Levi. So he says that one time. And then he says, hear, O children of Levi. L'Korach gedolam. At that point, he's speaking to Korach, who is the greatest of this group. And that's the understanding of what it says. Moshe says to Korach, but he also speaks to the children of Levi. Why? Moshe was trying to point out to Korach that he should desist, that he should stop what he's doing, and also that the rest of his tribe who had been seduced, who had followed after him, should also not listen. That they all shouldn't be drawn after him. Now, Reb Chaim Friedlander explains something profound in the thinking of Korach that we see from what's going on here in these midrashim. He says that at first, indeed, when Korach looked and he saw that someone had been appointed to the next honor, the next position of power, he said, that should be mine. I should be the Nasi, I should be the prince of my family, of the Bnei Kehos. Who's greater? I'm greater. I'm from the older son. But Moshe saw that even though he thought that in his head, he wouldn't stop there. That if he wants a position of power, if he's already looking, if he's eyeing the position of prince, he's next going to eye the position of Aaron, of being the high priest. And it doesn't say this in Reb Chaim Friedlander, but I'm adding, and the next place that he's going to eye is the position of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses. Here he is coming up against Moshe and trying to undermine his authority, undermine his nevuah, his connection to Hashem. And interestingly, explains Reb Chaim Friedlander, it's true generally that when a person desires something, as Chazal say, yesh le'imana ritzim asayim. When a person has 100 is never enough. He wants 200. If he has 200, he needs 400. That's not only true when it comes to money. It's also true when it comes to power, and when it comes to even to ruchnius, when it comes to something that's spiritual. If I've learned a certain amount, it's not enough for me. I want more. I want to learn more. So Korach, he saw the position of Nesius, he saw the position of being the prince, and he said, I want that. But that wasn't going to be enough for him, as Moshe understood. If he wanted that, he's going to further want the high priesthood. He's going to end up wanting the malchus, the kingship. It won't ever be enough for him. And this is what Moshe was trying to point out to Korach. Watch out. You're headed on the road for disaster. You're headed into a place which is inappropriate, which is wrong. And now the question that Reb Chaim Friedlander asks on this is that we need to understand something important. Because when it comes to matters of gashmias, when it comes to matters of physical things, when it comes to food, when it comes to money, these types of things, so we understand that it's not a good idea for a person to have she'ifus, to have desires for more and more and more. That's clear to us. But the question is, when it comes to ruchnius, when it comes to spiritual matters, isn't it a good thing to have desire for more? Moshe Rabbeinu says to Korach and to all of the Levites, he says to them, Rav lachem b'nei Levi, you have enough. Be happy with what you have. Be happy with your spiritual status. Don't try to grab for more beyond what you have. Recognize that you have enough. But Reb Chaim Friedlander challenges that. Is that really how we're supposed to approach things? Don't we see that when it comes to ruchnius, when it comes to spiritual matters, it's not good for a person to feel like he has enough. A person needs to always want more when it comes to spirituality. A person needs to always desire to have more. What was Moshe and why was Moses instructing them or directing them or asking them to be happy with what they have when it comes to spirituality? What's the understanding of it? So Reb Chaim Friedlander brings a statement of our Chazal. The Gemara is in Brachos, it's also in Sukkah, and the Gemara says like this: V'amar Rabbi Zera v'yitema Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Rabbi Zera, and those who say it was Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, who said, "Bai ure'eh, come and see, shalei kimidas Hakadosh Baruch Hu midas basar adam. Come and see that the way of Hashem, the midah, the attribute of God, is not like the attribute of human beings. Midas basar adam, when it comes to a human being, when it comes to the physical realm, kli reikon machzik. If a vessel is empty, if a cup is empty, it's possible to pour something in there. Malei ena machzik. If it's already full, it can't hold anything else. Well, Hakadosh Baruch Hu eina kain. When it comes to God, when it comes to spiritual matters, it's not so. Malei machzik. If something is full, that's when it can hold. If a mind is full of information, if it's full of Torah, if a person is full of mitzvahs, so he can hold more and more mitzvahs, he can fulfill more and more commandments. If a person is used to doing chesed, used to doing kindness, so it's moishechim, it pulls him to do more kindness. Reikon eina machzik. But if he's empty of kindness, if he's empty of Torah, so he's not going to be able to hold too much. The more a person is involved in spiritual matters, the more a person is able to be involved in spiritual matters. So that vessel which is empty can't really hold too much. But the vessel which is really full, it can hold much, much more. So we see, said Reb Chaim Friedlander, there's something very interesting. That indicative of the spiritual realm is that when I have, I can have more. If I don't have, I don't have. That seems to sound very much like the idea of Yesh Leimana Ritzim Asayim. If I have $100, I want 200. It seems to sound like the same idea, or parallel the idea. So why is it that we see, when it comes to spiritual matters, indeed, wanting more, of course, is desirable. And the more I have, the more I want. Or the more I can contain, the more I can receive. So how are we to understand this idea? Is it a good thing, or is it a negative thing? So I'd like to offer an explanation, or an answer, or an insight, to explain these questions of Reb Chaim Friedlander, which I think is very profound and very true, and perhaps can help us in our avodas Hashem, in our service of God, and in our approach to life. There's a very big difference between the type of desire that comes when a person has $100, they want $200, $200 and $400, etc., etc. Between that and somebody who has spiritual desires, that the more they fill themselves, the more they want. And we're going to see that Korach, his desire wasn't really a spiritual desire. It didn't fall into the category of something spiritual. And we'll soon see why that's true and how that's true. But what's the difference? What's the difference between that spiritual desire, the more I have, the more I can contain, as opposed to the physical, the more I have, the more I want? And the answer is contained in the very words of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses. He says, Rav lachem b'nei Levi, you have a lot. Rav lachem. It's very interesting. We find elsewhere in the Torah, in Genesis, in Bereshis, that there's someone else who uses a similar language, who uses the word Rav, which means a lot. And that's Esav. Esav Arasha, the brother of Yaakov, Jacob and Esau. Esau says, you don't have to give me this big gift, says Esau. I have so much. I have so much. Ravli, I have so much. That's his language. Contrast that with the language of Yaakov, of Jacob. Jacob says, Yesh li kol. He says, I have everything. I have everything. What's the difference between I have a lot and I have everything? And if we understand that, we understand the difference between the physical, the gashmi, and the spiritual, the ruchni. The answer is, Yesh li Rav means I have a lot. But, a lot means that there's a little and there's a lot. I could be missing. If I wouldn't have this a lot, I wouldn't have what I need. That's what it means when this person says, I have a lot. And that's Esav. Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, who represents the Ruchni, who represents the spiritual realm, he says, Yesh li kol, I have everything. He doesn't say I have a lot, I have everything. That means that I have what I need. And the implication of the word Yesh li kol, I have everything, is that I have what I need, and I always have what I need, and I always have had, and always will have what I need. It's almost a statement that there's no such thing as lack. Now, understand this, because this is profound. It's very important to understand that all of the things that we find in Ruchnius, all of the things that we find in the spiritual realm, all of the mitzvahs of the Torah, the commandments of the Torah, the words of the Torah, the ideas of the Torah, chesed, kindness, tzedakah, charity, learning Torah, prayer, serving God, all of these things, when I do them, when I do what I'm supposed to do based on what the Torah says, I'm entering into a space of yesh li kol. I have everything. All of the Torah is directed to try to get me into that space of yesh li kol. I have everything. If I'm willing to give tzedakah for my money, hey, maybe this money, like the sheet of Sodom, like the understanding, the worldview of the Sodomites, if I have this money's for me. If you're poor, you don't have any money, that's a good God, because God doesn't want you to have money. Why should I give you my money? God meant this money for me. That's yesh li rav. I have a lot, and if I don't have a lot, I will not have what I need. So I can't give it to you. That's the shita of Sidon. That's the shita, the worldview of Esav. But our worldview, the Torah's view is, if I have money, give part of that money to tzedakah, to charity. There are those who need that money, and you don't lose anything. Chazal say, aser ta'aser. What does the Torah mean when it says double language? Give off a tithe. Give a tithe, give a tithe. Why does it say it that way? Aser b'shvil shetis asher. They say a drasha that if you give tzedakah, you will be rich. What does that mean? That means if I enter into the realm of thinking yesh li kol, I have everything I need, and when I give it to you, I don't lose anything when I give it to you. If I can enter into that realm of yesh li kol, that I have everything, so then that's where the true richness comes from. That's where wealth comes from. It comes from the recognition that I have everything that I need. If I have everything that I need, I am now resonating in a place of wholeness. I'm resonating with Hashem, who is perfect, who has everything that he needs, doesn't need anything from me. Now look back for a moment. Amazing. Look at the lashon of Chazal, the language of our sages. They say, Kli male machzik. That when can I receive more? When can my vessel receive things? It can receive things when it's full. What does that mean? It means when I have the recognition that I am full, I have all of my needs, yesh li kol. When I have that recognition, I will always have. I will be overflowing. I will be receiving and receiving and receiving. But if I perceive myself as lacking, kli reik eina machzik. If it's empty, if I see myself as missing, in spiritual terms, if I see myself as lacking, I will never be able to hold anything. I will never be able to receive anything. Now, the amazing, profound idea, the hashlachot, the ramifications of this are, if I'm involved in the physical, if I'm involved in gashmias, if I eat food, the more I eat, the more I feel I'm lacking. That's what happens. The more I do ruchnias, the more I'm involved. It's at the spiritual level, doing the Torah, the mitzvahs, following, even using my physical desires, but in a way which is mandated by the Torah. So I resonate more and more with godliness, with wholeness. I am already whole. And the result is, paradoxically, that I get more. But the more I resonate and I allow myself to fall into the trap of physicality, so the paradox there works in the opposite direction. When I eat something, I feel full. I feel whole. When I get my desires met, I feel whole. I feel full for a moment. But after that, I feel worse. I feel sick. If I eat, I remember hearing a story from Rosh Yeshiva, how one summer, he ate this delicious watermelon to the point where he got sick. He couldn't look at a watermelon after that. That's the way it is with physical things. The more I try to get, the more it tears apart my wholeness. Because, and the logistics of it, the mechanics of it is that what I'm really doing is, as I fill myself up, I am making a bigger hole in myself, because I am saying I don't have enough, even though I'm saying I have a lot. Here, give me a lot. I have a lot. But what I'm really doing is saying I need a lot to be whole. And if I don't have a lot, then I'm not whole. So the moment that I don't have, my stomach is no longer full of that watermelon, it's all over. I need a lot more watermelon to fill my stomach. And it's just a progressive cycle. That's the addictive cycle. And that's the amazing statement of Moshe Rabbeinu to Korach and to the Bnei Levi. He says to them, look, Korach, what did you want? At the beginning you wanted one thing, a smaller thing. You wanted to be the Nasi, you wanted to be the prince. But your approach is a physical approach. It's a Gashmi approach. It comes from your desire for honor. It's not coming from a true place of service of Hashem. That being the case, it will start out with, you want Nesius, you want the princehood. But next you're going to want the kahuna. Next you're going to want to replace Aaron as the high priest. And next you're going to want to replace me as the king. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there because it's starting in a place of lack. And that's what Moshe says beautifully. He says, Rav lachem b'nei Levi. He says, watch out, guys. You're in the place of Esav. You're in that same state of mind of Rav. Give me more. I don't have enough. If I don't have enough, I won't be whole. And this connects very much to what we spoke about last week with the illusion. Korach, he sees the illusion. I'm going to be whole. I'm going to have a true relationship with Hashem. I'm going to resonate with God if I have something more. Moshe understands, no, it's the other way around. The more I'm honest with who I am, recognize what is it that Hashem really wants from me, not buy into the illusion, just do what the Torah says. Just follow. The instructions are very clear. The Torah says if you want to be whole, if you want to resonate with wholeness, with godliness, here's what you do. Follow these directions. Keep the Torah. Do the mitzvahs. Give charity. Do kindness. Give to others. The more I give away, the more I receive. Because as I'm giving away, I'm acknowledging the fact that I already am whole, that I already have all that I need. Now, coming back to one of the points that a Freelander pointed out, which was that when it comes to ruchnius, a person is not supposed to be, when it comes to spirituality, a person is not supposed to be satisfied with what he has. Why? Why is it that that's true? It's true because when it comes to to this side, the paradox is the more ruchnius I have, the more spirituality I have, the more I recognize and resonate with my wholeness, with the fact that I already am whole. So I can't have enough of that, so to speak, because the more I have of that, the more I truly am resonating in that place of wholeness. So I need to have more, and the more I have, the more whole I recognize I am, the more wholeness I can receive. I'd like to bless you, and please bless me back. Hashem should help us to be in this place of ruchnius, to be in this place of she'ifa, of desire for greatness, for wholeness, to recognize that I'm already whole, to do the actions that bring me into that space of wholeness. Hashem should help us recognize yesh li kol, that I have everything, and not fall into the trap of yesh li Rav, of Esav, and of Korach. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.